They say when you're working out, you need a strong core, but I found a life hack. I don't gotta work out, cause I got my core right here. Ho ho! Greetings, hatchlings! Today we are going to crack into Core 2019. We're going to take a look at some delicious flavor, find out what's lurking in the booster, while you know what, I'll go get into the pack, because as soon as Carly hears me talking about how I don't need to work out on my core, she's going to come and go... Alright, time for the flavor exploration of Core Set 2019. Let's get on in here and see what's in this booster pack. Oh yeah, get that crinkle ASMR for you, baby. Ooh, I'm the wind. All right, here we go. Knight's Pledge. Honestly, the first thing I think when I see this card is how much I've used this in 2019 drafts. I drafted 2019 on Arena a lot. So what do we get here? We get 1 white and a colorless. It's an enchantment that gives the creature +2/+2. As long as my faith persists, so shall I. I mean, like, sure, okay. It's like a pledge. Kind of bland. I like the artwork. I really like the whole pennant nature. Like, she's got this spear, and it's got this big, like, this big pennant flag that flies off it, and I just really, really enjoy the way that it's flapping in the wind. They've got her on a little bit of a weird angle, honestly. But I like the fact that her eyes are shadowed by the pennant flying above it. It gives her a little bit more menace. She looks pretty tough, honestly, and I really enjoy this long braid like whipping out as well. Now, I know that from a military perspective, it's not the wisest thing to have a long braid like that somebody could grab and snap around, but I do enjoy long hair on my ladies, and so I dig it personally. I also like the fact that it's set against like all this kind of cloudy sky and everything like that. And we just did Ravnica yesterday, right? So it's kind of nice to see the something that's not just all cityscape all the time, right? That's Ravnica's very, very city-centric. Then we got to anticipate. 1 blue, 1 colorless instant. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. Put 1 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Divining the future is easy when you hold the power to sway it. Well, it's easy to tell the future when you hold the power to... Well, that makes sense. I mean, it's easier to tell what's going to happen in the future if you are able to manipulate what's going to happen in the future. And that's what's going on with Anticipate here. The artwork, I like the way they're doing this. I like when the mechanics are represented in the artwork. So you've got 3 different spheres here, and you can see the hand reaching out for the card that goes into your hand. I mean, that's pretty direct. Put 1 directly into your hand. That's what's going on right there. And these other 2 are the ones that will be returned to the bottom of the library. So it's interesting. It's like 3 thoughts are pulled out of your mind, and 2 of them are sent, boom, careening back into the bottom, buried deep, and the other one is brought right to the surface, and you can use it to manipulate time. This looks to me like a merfolk. Yep, that's definitely a merfolk. You can see the little fins down here on the leg and everything. So this is a merfolk mage with a really cool looking staff, right? You've got this like crazy wooden staff with these nutty, I don't even know exactly what the tip is supposed to be, but I like its spiky nature. And all the waterfalls coming down in the back here, all that water coming down with the little stones and everything interspersed there. I really like this artwork. It gives you a feel of being in like a mist-soaked environment, hearing the water crashing down around you. A lot of flavor. This card is tied together really well, honestly. This is really well done. Then we've got Onake Ogre, 1 red and 2 colors for a 4/2. The ogres you know are nothing like the Onake. Possessing both intellect and industry, they had brute strength without being brutish. Well, I mean, look, this guy looks like a brute. He looks like a pot-bellied brute. He doesn't seem... there's nothing here to speak of real intelligence. I mean, the fact that he has a sword, there are a bunch of ogres that have swords. He could have easily scavenged this somewhere. Also, the weird dimensions of his body, with the big fat body and the tiny head, look really weird. I mean, the tusks come out and give a nice ferociousness to it, but overall, I think this artwork is goofy. I like the greenery all around him. I like the fact that he's coming out of the forest here. But overall, the ogre looks stupid, and the artwork doesn't like, they have real industry, really? Well, then why does his armor look so janked up? Why does his armor look like crap? They just seem like they're about brute strength and scavenging. So it falls apart for me. This is a flavor fail. Giant Spider coming at you all the way from the beginning of the game. 1 green and 3 colorless, 2/4 reach. After everything I've survived, it's hard to be frightened by anything anymore. Vivian Reed. Great. I got to say, a lot of Vivian Reed's quotes in 2019 suck. And it's like, what does this have to do with the giant spider? Of course you're not going to be afraid of a giant spider. You're literally a planeswalker that can summon these things and bind them to your will. Why would you be frightened of it? It has not, it's like trying to they're trying to world build Vivian with this, and it doesn't add anything interesting to her. Of course you know she's not going to be afraid of these things because she's bound them to her will. They're no big deal. In terms of the artwork, obviously this is a massive spider. I mean, look at it. It literally has a drake. In our everyday, you'll see regular spiders grabbing flies and binding them up in tiny little webs. But this is literally a drake, like a mini dragon, essentially. The thing is just caught and is winding up for dinner. Now that's pretty intense, honestly. That's spooky. Actually, I had a tiny little spider drop down in front of me today. It was like, hello, and I had to go, all right, come on, I'm gonna go put you in another place in the house. You can eat some flies, but stay away from me. All right, Epicure of Blood. 1 black, 4 colorless for a 4/4 vampire. Whenever you gain life, each opponent loses 1 life. Fleshy, with just a hint of leather. A fine vintage. All right, there you go. You've got somebody who's he's a connoisseur of blood. I like that. And I like this spire that's reaching up in the back, and the whole fact that it's like really, really dark in this environment. You've got what I assume are a ton of bats flying by. It's got a very vampire feel. I'll admit though, with the way that his cloak kind of flows and everything, it kind of gives the impression that he has flying. And I don't like it when you look at a card's artwork and it doesn't feel like the abilities line up. So while technically he is standing here, you don't know exactly if he is on ground. This artwork has always transmitted kind of the concept of flight to me, which I do find to be, detract from it overall. But I like the vibrant red of his cloak and the shirt under his armor that match the blood that's flowing there. He's pouring blood from one hand into the other. Although it does feel like his head is a tad bit too small, but that's probably just because on the arm here we have really puffed up cloth, and then on top of all this puffed up cloth we have the breastplate and everything, so it makes him seem like even the greaves that he has on, all this comes together to make it feel like he's got a bigger body and a smaller head, which is a little bit weird. Then we got Bristling Boar. 1 green, 3 colors for a 4/3. Bristling Boar can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. Nicol Bolas destroyed my world. I owe it to Scala to celebrate all life, no matter how dangerous. Vivian Reed. See, I mean, I guess from here you find out that Nicol Bolas destroyed her world, but I'm tired of all this stuff having to be tied to Bolas. They overdid this Bolas thing, so for me, I don't like that she's tied to that. I'm not sure exactly why Bristling Boar can only be blocked by 1 creature. That's not really obvious to me. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. But what I do like is the charging frenetic action on this boar. I mean, if you look at it, you may not have noticed, but it's literally ramming straight through and sending this like panther or cat creature, whatever, flying, tumbling over. It slammed into it and sent it flying. It's got some serious beefcake. Like this would be a scary thing to run into out in the forest. And it's got all kinds of, the bristling boar is all the little spikes coming off of it. But overall, I don't understand why it can't be blocked by more than 1 creature. That is not transmitted in any way. So that bit is a fail for me. And I also don't really care for the whole Nicol Bolas made me cry and now I want hugs. I'm Vivian Reed. But that's just a personal thing. Child of Night. 1 black and a colorless for a 2/1 vampire with lifelink, so you gain life when it deals damage. Makes perfect sense for a vampire to have that ability. Sins that would be too gruesome in the light of day are made more pleasing in the dark of night. There you go. That works for vampire flavor text. I like the fact that her clothing, she's clothed in actual night. You know, you can tell this is her outfit. Maybe a little hint of jug there for Excelsior. Oh yeah. But you've got her hand here, and if you look here, it almost looks like it's reaching out of shadow. It's like the garments you're wearing are made of pure shadow. And I really like this. This card has a lot of menace to it. It's got this like kind of dark background and everything. She's got that pale vampire skin. This card ties together really nicely. I don't have many quibbles when it comes to the flavor of this one. So this one's a win in my eyes. Then we've got Essence Scatter. 1 blue, 1 colorless, counter target creature spell. Dependence on luck is anathema to Kefnet's rigorous studies. Those who hope to escape his maze by chance never succeed. So this is obviously from the Amonkhet block. Kefnet is the god of wisdom and knowledge. He would put you through these trials, and you couldn't just happenstance luck your way through it. You had to come in prepared and think your way through. So here we have divine light of Kefnet's challenge, or maybe Kefnet himself, actually scattering the soul, the essence, the soul of this individual. Their soul is being obliterated out of their body. That is really cool. It's a really evocative way to show countering a creature spell. The fact that the soul stuff is really, it literally is being scattered all over the place is very cool. And honestly, this is terrifying. What a terrifying way to go. You're just running through the challenge. I mean, there is the fact that this person would have grown up on Amonkhet, and so the essence scattered. Like, if you really boil down to the flavor of the world and the way that this is talking about it, then it just kind of, like, the essence scatter is happening long after the creature, like, came into existence. I don't know. It's that's the one flavor fail part we have when it comes to, like, soul snaring creatures. If they've just been summoned by a planeswalker to the battlefield, then pulling their soul out right as they show up, like before they can fully summon while the summoning magic is happening, you just yank their soul that way. That makes more sense than this. The whole Kefnet flavor text is cool, but it actually kind of muddies the concept behind the card a bit. Overall though, essence scatter and the soul actually being scattered just blows my mind. It's really cool. Naturalize. 1 green, 1 colorless, destroy target artifact or enchantment. And if you threaten me again, your shiny steel trousers will be sprouting daggerthorn vines. Iveta, rooftop runner. All right, so this Iveta is some streetwise rooftop runner. Makes it sound to me like this is set in Ravnica. The artwork here also gives a very Ravnican feel. Normally when you see like green magic, it's set in the forest or things like that. But we have obviously a cityscape behind us. It's got a green glow to it though, and you do have a bit of vegetation there. So I feel like this is set in Ravnica. I absolutely adore the way that they've done the artwork here. Destroying target artifact or enchantment. Look, that blade is being turned into a tiny little tree. That is nature magic at its finest. Unraveling artifice, unraveling the natural by destroying it with what is natural. Very cool. The flavor text, honestly, doesn't do that much for me. But the artwork combined with the ability and everything, oh man, that is a home run. This is well done. Then we've got a Johnny's Welcome. There, he's got his hand out. Hey, what's up, people? All right, 1 white enchantment. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain a life. You cannot defend others if your own well-being is neglected. Well, that's actually completely true, honestly. That's just some good life advice. And I like the fact that, like, this is a Johnny welcoming all these different souls, and each soul that he welcomes adds a bit of life to him. This is a smart spell in terms of like the way to do battle. It's like, okay, every time I bring somebody out, I'll strengthen myself, because the only way I'm going to be able to utilize my troops, defend my troops, and claim victory is to make sure I'm taken care of. And clearly he is. Ooh, you like lion men? How about them abs? Ooh, woo, woo. The lion, the witch, and the wardrobe. You know what I'm saying? Oh, I like the fact that all these little motes of light are all kind of contrasted against this, the darkness and the black. It's like a Johnny is like gathering the light together to fight against the darkness. So overall, very cool card. It's got some good flavor to it. Exclusion Mage with some very merfolky looking hair. 1 blue, 2 colorless. For a 2/2, when Exclusion Mage enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Successful battles start with knowing who's worth fighting. Well, you know what? That makes sense as well. I mean, knowing who your biggest adversaries are, who your biggest problems are, the linchpins to your opponent's defenses, or offenses, is actually going to be a really tactically useful ability. And the ability to whip out crazy blades of aether, that's what it almost looks like. You just got this crazy magic arcing out that basically unmakes people. It just sends them back to where they came from, just back into the aether with you. That's pretty cool. She does look goofy with that hair, though. Admittedly, she looks goofy, and she looks like she might be going bald, too. So, the stance is pretty cool. I really enjoy the green, like, pasture-y kind of set behind her. The fact that it's all stormy, and it looks like she's casting storms. out of her hand. It's pretty cool. This part here looks like she's sending off the magic to exclude somebody, but I don't know what's going on here because it looks like the magic might be zipping around her. So I'm not 100% sure what the artwork is trying to convey with both of these beams, but this to me is the beam being sent out to exclude and unravel somebody. Not too shabby overall. And we got Siegebreaker Giant, 2 red and 3 colors for a 6/3 trampler. 4 mana, target creature can't block this turn. No rampart can withstand the fury of a giant. That's pretty funky, man. The idea that he breaks sieges by having a massive ball and chain, and he'll just lob it and smash through walls. And that's what his ability is referencing. Basically, the idea of swinging this massive... Can you imagine how big that thing was? That's like a wrecking ball. You get Miley Cyrus get her clothes off and she can swing around on that and sing sweet songs to him, croon to him while he swings her around and smacks her into a wall. Overall, this is a pretty imposing creature. Look at him. He's like, it looks almost like he has fire inside of him. You can see it kind of like licking up under his armpits, inside of his face and everything like that. I'm not sure if that's just supposed to be a reflection of that, if he's just already like laid siege to a city and the city is now burning behind him, or if he actually has internal fires. But he looks very, very imposing. He does look like someone who could do a lot of damage, knock down walls, stop creatures from getting involved, just send this gigantic ball swinging at them so they can't get in your way. Very neat. Liliana's Contract, 2 black, 3 colorless enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and you lose 4 life. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. Immortality is worth any price. Now, this card actually represents a pivotal moment in Liliana's history. There was a point where Liliana was one of the old school planeswalkers that had immortality and endless power. When the Great Mending happened, all planeswalkers lost their immortality. In fact, one of the things that Bolas is after is trying to reestablish that level of power. So Liliana became an old woman. She still had a lot of power, but she wasn't immortal like she was before. So she actually made a pact with 4 different demons to regain her eternal youth and gain more power. And this moment is actually when that's happening. You can see right here is her old hair and her aged arm. You can see that these are like, this is part of an old lady, and on this side you can see the demon magic infusing all these lines coming along her body. You can see her hair turning purple and kind of like lifting up in this purple energy. You can see the glow in one eye but not in the other. I really enjoy the contrast between the old side and the young side. It's a really great way of depicting what had happened, and if you look closely you can actually see there are 4 demons in the background with glowing eyes as well. So overall, the flavor on this card is absolutely fantastic. I really enjoy it. It's a well put together card, and the abilities of it make sense. So this whole thing ties together quite nicely to show a big moment in a really well-known Planeswalker's history. So this gets a pass from me. It's a good to go. Then we got a foil Druid of the Cowl. 1 green, 1 colorless for a 1/3 elf druid. Tap it to add a green. The wild tangle of the cowl provides sanctuary to life that watched the first buildings rise. All right, so this is from the world of Kaladesh, it looks like, and I don't like it. I don't like the artwork. I don't like all these like swirls of metal and whatever. I'm really not a big fan of Kaladesh. I like the background with the trees and like the sky and everything, but I don't like the way the druid looks. I definitely don't like it's the metal tangle cowl, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't speak to me. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. I mean, she looks all right though. Her armor's okay. It's just got that ornate Kaladesh style that drives me particularly crazy. Although I do like this part of her robe that's flapping up in the wind. That's pretty cool. Then we've got a forest. Oh, look at this forest. This is pretty funky. You've got like big knotted bowls of tree here that are like leaking all kinds of green mana. Like this forest is so mana rich that you can literally see that it's pouring out of it. That's pretty cool. And the trees look very different with these gigantic like wooden spheres essentially like placed all over the place. These concentrations of mana. This would be a forest that I'm sure a lot of planeswalkers would want to tap into. And the token, we have a Cat Warrior token, 1/1 lifelink. man, I really love the blue sky here. You got the clouds floating by. The clouds look all right, but the blue sky looks pretty good. It's interesting that these are light and these are dark clouds. And you've got this Leonin, just, or whatever, I don't know if they count. I think they're called Leonins on Dominaria. You got her charging through this big pasture, this kind of sunlit field. It's cool. It's got a very like nature feel. She looks pretty feral, like she could do a bunch of damage. I could easily see this token actually being a 2/2. I don't know how you transfer over the lifelink part of it. That part is a miss, but I definitely enjoy like the kind of tribal garments, the dual wielding weaponry, and the overall ferocity of this lion warrior chick. Pretty cool. All right, so that wraps up this pack of Dominaria. Nope, Core 2019. For some reason, this made me think we were in Dominaria. Probably the green pasture kind of thing going on there. All right, well, that pack wasn't too bad overall. You know what? I don't really have too many complaints about it. It also wasn't like a mind-blowing pack, but overall, I had a good time with it. You know what else is a good time? The Golden Scroll. The people who have my back on Patreon or through channel memberships love getting to include your names at the end of my video. The Roll of Honor. And everybody, thanks for being here. We'll see you for the next video. Hail to the king, baby.